As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
Happy Halloween! Hope everybody has a fucking spooky time this week. It's going to be this Thursday, right? Is it Thursday? Or
It is this Thursday.
So I hope you guys
Spookity-bookity.
have been having a great month so far. Really appreciate you guys sharing the holiday with us. You know, I think this year has probably been more of a celebration of Halloween than we normally do, huh?
Yes.
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 Happy Halloween to
Happy
all of you.
Halloween!
We're back for episode 162, and today we're going to be doing some older movies. One from 1979 called Prophecy, and...
Night of the Demon, 1983.
Well, it could be 1980.
Ish.
It's technically 1980, but if you go on Amazon.com, or you go on Amazon Prime, it goes and says 1983, so I don't know. But it is definitely 1980. I looked up when it was made. I think it was like November, so when it released or something in 1980. But
Ish.
Yeah,
1980-ish.
Yeah, and these are two movies that are taking place in the woods with a bunch of creatures. Like, well, not bunch, just two individual creatures for each movie.
So they're monster movies.
Yeah, they're technically creature features, I guess, you know.
Oh, okay. That's
One's an
better
eco-friendly one, and one's like I don't even know.
Not so
Yeah.
crap fest.
And you're definitely not talking about Night of the Demons, which is a great movie from
88?
Yep.
Yep.
And we're not talking about Night of the Demon from 1957.
Oh, that's right.
Which also was called, I believe it was called Curse of the Demon as well, which is a really cool movie, but it has nothing to do with it. Although there is one element in it that is very similar to one of these, to Night of the Demon.
Well, you'll have to tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I mean,
Right.
we already did. It's just like a minor thing, but anyway.
Okay.
So how's your week? How are things going? You did a house tour, like
The Halloween stuff,
decorations,
which I wasn't 100% happy with, but I mean, time's like running out and I didn't have enough time.
Well, it's looking good in here. I enjoy it. You had we got these like red bulbs on either side of the couch that light up the room in like red a little bit, like really dark. And I walked in and I was like, ooh. It was like
spooky.
my little goth queen over here. and when I walked in, she had like one time she had what was it that you watched, like you know how you have the fire log for Christmas, but you have like a Halloween thing playing.
It's Haunted Screens. It's on Hulu. They have like 6 episodes, and all it is like there's a graveyard, and then there's like all these.
Yeah, it's like
Halloween
ambient
stuff.
sounds, like she's in a graveyard and stuff. I'm like,
It's pretty cool.
I was like, Jesus, like how goth are you here, lady?
I put it on as background music all the time. Patrick and Kelly have their baby.
Yes, congratulations to Patrick and Kelly. They just had their baby.
What's his name? John.
We'll just say his first and middle name,
Right.
John Wyatt.
Right.
So I'm really super happy for them. She's been like such a trooper for this whole fucking, baby thing.
Right.
Like I said last week, like it's just crazy, like how it just didn't even feel like she was about to have a baby, even though you could visibly tell, but it's just her temperament wasn't very different than normal. So,
Right.
But yeah, congratulations. Yeah, guys. So that's when life ends. No, and another one begins. Welcome to the world, buddy. I'll be teaching you all about the horror and spectrum of fucking crazy.
Well, how was your week, Alex?
I've been having a pretty busy week as always.
You did some reviews on.
Yeah,
the YouTubes.
I watched the movie Wounds from just this year. Came out on Hulu and Netflix, depending on where you are in the country. So, but I reviewed that and it blew my mind, kind of. It's not like the best movie I've ever seen, but I really enjoyed the feeling of it. And I kind of went into this really long ending explain kind of situation. It's only like, I think it's like 15 minutes or something.
It was good.
Yeah. Christina wasn't as big a fan of it as I am, but I get off on these like movies that just make me like
think.
Yeah, like, well, not just make me think, but just like make me curious what's happening.
Right.
But it's got to pay off in some regard and show me some goods.
Right.
If it doesn't do that, then I'm just like, okay, well, the journey was bullshit, and you're you're a snake oil salesman to me. And then we got like a new Creep Show. We're on the last 2 episodes. I just watched the one yesterday to put up a review of that this week.
What are you gonna do after it's over?
I don't know. I have no fucking clue.
Maybe you should rest. Maybe we should go and do something.
Yeah. Maybe we should visit the outside, Alex.
No.
Have you tried leaving your
Maybe
studio?
we could go see the Joker.
Yeah, I know. We haven't even seen that yet. What did you say that you wanted to go see? Oh, Countdown.
I want to go see Countdown.
Like, I want to see it just because I know it's going to be silly and ridiculous.
Yeah, I hope so.
But we're definitely seeing the Joker first, right?
Well, we'll see.
No.
No.
There's an infinitely different, like, brood of fucking excellence, I've heard, between those two movies.
I know, but we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Oh, and guys, by the way, we're going to be taking a break for a couple of weeks here after this episode, so you're going to be...
Woo-hoo!
There's going to be stuff that is on YouTube that you can watch, so I highly recommend that you follow us there. Greatly appreciate that. It really does go a long way to help us out. I'm going to be working on all kinds of new content for YouTube that is other than the podcast, so if you would like to extend your BTV experience, you can go there and follow me and Christina and everybody else that wants to be a part of it on there. So,
and they can catch your stream on Twitch.
Right. And I'm always on twitch.tv. I will be doing the streams Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday like normal. So if you want to catch me there, you can catch me there. Anyway, guys, I think it might be that time.
Let's get shit-faced.
Horrorshots! All right, guys, so we decided to pick one of the movies to do our horror shot theme this week, and we just had to pick one from Night of the Demon because that movie is absolutely ridiculous. And you guys are going to have to stick around for us breaking most of it down. It won't be that long of an episode, but it's just some of the shit in this movie. But there's a crazy lady in the movie, or they call her Wacky Wanda. And she is... Without spoiling the movie,
Wacky
had an experience with Bigfoot, and she's gone crazy as a part of that. And we decided to grab some of the elements in this movie for that and made up a drink called Wacky Wanda. You put in 1 ounce of gin, 1 ounce of Hypnotic, and 2 ounces of White Claw, your preference of flavoring, I guess, water drink. It's seltzer water. With alcohol in it, but you can put that in a mixer. I wouldn't shake it up because obviously White Claw has carbonation in it. This should make, of course, a couple of shots, but the ingredients, the reason I put 2 ounces in there is because it might be a little too strong, so you kind of thin it out a little bit.
Water it down.
Yeah, just water
it down.
White Claw it down, So then you're going to want to take a candle, like one of those religious candles that has Mother Mary on it. The little tall, thin candles that you in a glass that you can do. You light it. You put a blanket over your head to make yourself look like the Mother Mary, because this is not sacrilegious. And only here on BTV, guys. And then you take the shot and you say what her father said is, "I'm saving your soul, you ungrateful bitch."
One of the funniest parts of the movie.
We were like, what the fuck? But yeah, that's a Wacky Wanda, and it's all an ode to Night of the Demon, which probably gets not enough love. Hey, we made a shot for a movie that nobody cares about.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of elevates it a little bit.
All right, I hope so.
Because it's nice.
Yeah, that's very nice of you.
But anyway, if you guys would like to try Wacky Wanda, all you have to do is go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag Horror Shots section now. That's it for Horror Shots. All right, now we're going to jump into our flesh and potatoes of Prophecy from 1979, and
Night of the Demon, 1980.
Right now.
let's kick it off, Christina. You're the one that started the, you did all the information, all the cast and crew and things like that.
Right.
For both of these movies. She didn't want to do the trivia.
No way.
She didn't, she was
you're
worried.
way better at that than me.
I spend too long doing it sometimes, but these ones are pretty easy. One of them wasn't.
Basic, yeah. All right, so Prophecy, 1979. Not to be confused with The Prophecy from 1995.
It's like, wow.
Yes, starring Christopher Walken. Not that movie.
Christopher Walken here.
Prophecy. The story is about a log company's waste mutates the environment, creating a giant killer bear monster.
Mm-hmm. Which is awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
It's probably one of the best things about it.
This was directed by John Michael Frankenheimer. Mm-hmm. He did pass away in 2002. He's done 30 feature films. Most popular ones are Birdman of Alcatraz, Ronin from 1998, and Black Sunday from 1977. This movie was written by David Seltzer. He did the screenplays for The Omen from 1976 and Bird on a Wire from 1990. And he's been recently reported on working on something with J.J. Abrams.
Nice.
All right.
Damien 2.
I hope so. No, actually, it's supposed to be some sort of earthquake movie.
Oh, God.
So
with demons.
We'll see. Yeah, with demons.
The Demon Child.
All right, movie stars. Robert Foxworth, he plays Rob, who's the doctor. He's also been typecast as he's played a doctor 9 times.
Really?
Yes.
He's a good doctor. It's the glasses. No.
It must be.
Because he wears glasses in real life. But
oh, does he? Oh, how funny. He did play Dr. Victor Frankenstein in the 1973 version of Frankenstein. He also was in Damien, Omen 2. Mm-hmm. And he was in 6 episodes of 6 Feet Under, played a doctor. And I found this really interesting. He was the voice of Ratchet in the Transformer movies.
Oh, okay.
Right? Talia Shearer, she plays Maggie. We're like, she looks familiar. She looks really familiar. Guess who she is? Did you ever in your
Adrian.
Mind? Yep, Adrian from Rocky.
She looked very different from the movie.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And she was also in the Godfather movies. She played Connie.
She means Adrian from Rocky, by the way.
Yeah, I said that.
Did you? I don't know.
The Rocky movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. She was also in Godfathers, all the Godfathers movies. She played Connie, who was the daughter. Okay. And she's pretty much been a good working actress, and most recently she's been in a few episodes of Grace and Frankie. I love that show. It's funny on Netflix. Anyway, okay. Armand Assante, who plays John Hawkes.
Right.
He was a native. Just so you know, he originally is Italian and Irish.
Right.
In real life.
Right, which you would not get away with that shit for the most part.
Right, not nowadays, which is a good thing. But anyway, he was also in Judge Dredd, the 1995 version.
The Stallone one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he also played John Gotti in the TV miniseries from the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. I recognized him right off the bat. So.
Oh, yeah, because he was also an American Gangster.
Yeah.
All right, Victoria Rossimo. She played Ramona. She was in Ernest Goes to Camp. And
really? She looked familiar too, actually, but
yeah, she's
really pretty.
She's been in a lot of TV. She was in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Doogie Howser, and stuff like that. Richard Dysart.
Okay.
Who played the CEO of the mill?
Yeah, the owner of the company, of the logging company. Yeah.
Did he look familiar to you?
Oh, I knew who he was immediately.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's from The Thing.
He's from The Thing. He was Dr. Copper.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you caught that. I didn't even know. I didn't know until I read it. But anyway.
He was also in Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood, too.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was a very big actor. He's been around for a long time. Apparently, he did some of the voiceover work for the Spawn animated series.
Right, from the 90s?
Yeah. Right. Cagliostro.
Uh-huh.
whatever. So, but he's awesome anyway.
Right. Okay, the budget for this movie was $12 million, which is pretty good for 1979.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I think they did good with it. And the gross for the movie was about $18 million. So, they did pretty good.
I think it did $22 million worldwide.
Oh, worldwide? Oh,
I think
okay.
they doubled their profit.
That's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it didn't do amazing, so there wasn't about to be a sequel because it's kind of ridiculous, but...
And I don't know if you saw, but this film is actually getting a Blu-ray release on November 26th. Yeah, and we're buying it. But anyway.
Oh, really?
We're going to buy it.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad to hear that because I was like,
You didn't want to mention it to me?
Yeah, I didn't want to ask because I don't have any money right now.
So what did you think?
Well, this movie is
Prophecy.
Honestly pretty decent. It's better than just a so bad it's good film. It's actually like a real film. It's not meant to be silly, even though at times it is pretty silly, and it is a little over the top in some other degrees, but I love that it kind of goes there and still tries to pull off this kind of serious thing, but not in that schlocky way. There is some schlockiness to it, but it's hard to describe to me. Obviously an ecological cautionary tale that, warns about polluting the environment or fall to the claws of a giant mutated fucked up bear. One that, by the way, is the reason ManBearPig exists.
Oh, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this thing. I was like, that's ManBearPig.
From South Park, guys, if you don't know what we're talking about.
Right, and I immediately thought they might have gotten the inspiration for ManBearPig from this movie. Yeah.
Because if you remember, the ManBearPig was Al Gore's hunting. He was hunting him because there's something he was warning the kids about it. No one believed him,
climate change.
Yeah, and he was all about that, so it makes sense. But this movie also touches on many other different things about, kind of, I guess, liberal leaning ideas, progressive ideas, at the time, especially women's rights and housing issues in inner cities and stuff like that, and how nobody gave a shit to care for those people, and it just was out of control. So it was really trying to make a very big statement here. Plus, don't let the PG rating scare you off, guys, because it is a good time.
PG for 1979.
It's a hard PG, though.
It's a hard PG. It would not be PG nowadays.
Well, and there's some information on it. This movie was supposed to be rated R.
Oh,
and
really?
They cut it back, but there's conflicting information. I'll get into that in the trivia.
Okay, I'll wait.
Some of the kills in this movie actually have blood, and there's some scenes that I was like, wow, this is PG? What the fuck? That can't be right. There's a chainsaw axe fight, which is pretty funny. Plus, you get a bunch of mutated creatures in the forest, so you can't go wrong with all the makeup that they did in this movie, which is awesome. They did a really good job on it, from my opinion. Plus, it's funny to watch a guy in a mutated bear suit kind of run around like an idiot. Because you can tell it's very hard to run around it.
Right.
But somehow they made it work. And I don't know if it was a guy in a suit most of the time, but it was silly. One of the kills is probably one of the best, least bloody kills I've ever seen in a movie that just cracked me the fuck up. And it involves a sleeping bag. That's all I'll say.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, me and Christina were in hysterics laughing.
I think we rewound it
several
twice.
times. Yeah. because we were just because it does one thing in the movie that you never really get to see in a lot of movies, which is involving kids and tragedy there. But it's just silly. It's so fucking funny, dude. I fucking love it for that. I would buy this movie based on that scene alone.
Right.
Just because it's so funny.
Right.
I think this is just a ridiculous movie done right somehow. It's an anomaly. I don't know how it exists. It might have been considered pushy at the time. I don't know. It's really not about the message that's important. It's just how ridiculously kind of awesome it is in some ways. You wouldn't expect this kind of movie to get anywhere near the quality of filmmaking that it actually got. $12 million back then. Think about that. That's a lot of money nowadays.
A lot of money.
That's a pretty big budget film. That's a $30 million budget, probably.
Yeah, it's today's money. Yeah.
Right. So we watched it on Amazon Prime, and it's a 1080p cut of that. Plus, she mentioned Shout Factory is putting it out on Blu-ray, coming out November 26th. Although I think with Shout Factory, if you pre-order any of their stuff, they send it out to you 2 weeks ahead of time.
Oh, we should pre-order it then.
Well, you can still do it. We still got time.
Oh, okay.
It's October.
That's right. It's Halloween week.
Right. But you might want to wait, though, because we do have that Dawn of the Dead 4K Blu-ray thing.
It's broke.
I like that you're hooked on it too, though. That's making me happy too. But we had a good time watching this one, though, and it's not anywhere near a great film necessarily. It's just fun if you like 80s creature feature films with like a weird side helping of like, I don't know, something akin to the Manitou, which is something that's coming in the mail today, actually, that we ordered from Shout Factory also. Very similar tonally film. Like they take it serious, shot like in that 70s style, which for some reason I'm finding a lot more appreciation for 70s films, because even in 79 they were still shooting 70s style, you know, like the way that they shoot things.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, the beginning of the 80s, of course, it's gonna slowly evolve. Just
like in the beginning of the 90s, although in the 90s it kind of had a pretty drastic shift, and I think that's mostly because of like VHS. VHS had been out for a year, you know, a decade.
Right.
And it changed things for how people make movies cheaper. It made it cheaper.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
So, but I think, you know, there's nothing like watching a silly creature go ham on a bunch of people in the woods. I'd give this one probably a 7. Like, I don't want to give it a 6.5 on an overall scale. I think it's like a 6.5 or 7, you know, like on all horror movies and stuff like that. I wouldn't put this in the so bad it's good category, which I give a little bit more leeway to for some films, you know, on my scoring. But what about you? What did you think of this movie?
I think it's a so bad it's good film.
It is, but it's not done in such a way. Let me explain. Like, for me, the ones that are just so absolutely ridiculous, like Troll 2. This is no Troll 2. Like, that is bad acting.
Really?
Like, this actually has decent acting in it. Like, and it's done in a way that is not so terrible.
Right.
That it just works. This is done, I don't know how to explain it. It's on the cusp.
Well, I guess in my interpretation, too, I'm not as into these kind of movies as you.
Yeah, I've been going down, yeah.
I'm not, you know, I liked 80s movies, but I didn't like these kinds of 80s movies as much as you.
I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to come up with a list of, like, I'll probably be doing a YouTube video here of, like, 10 movies that are so bad it's good that you need to watch.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, I have such a fine layer of cheese now because of how many fucking shitty movies I've seen.
Right.
It's like some I don't like to put into that category of so bad it's good because sometimes they're just bad. Most of them are bad.
Well, it's in my list.
All right. Carry on.
But again, the first thing was Man-Bear-Pig. Like, I can't get over that.
Looks exactly like him.
Exactly like him.
Yeah, they totally
ridiculous.
Yeah, they totally matched it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I was not looking forward to watching this movie, so I was very entertained. It was unexpectedly entertaining to me. But like the plot, I felt like they wanted to make this, as you said, progressive environmental movie, but they knew no one would probably want to watch it, so they just threw in a mutated bear because, I mean, you know, it's obviously there for them to put in. A couple of the scenes made me like really uncomfortable. The one where the Indian tribe did the blockade. That's all I said. It really made me uncomfortable. And some of the beginning parts too kind of made me
That was a tense little time right there. Yeah, it was a good scene.
Right. But I did feel the story, it flowed well. Like, I think it took a little long to get to the monster.
Right.
It would have been nice if, I don't know, maybe they opened up with it or something like that.
Pretty much you just hear noises in the woods a lot for a while.
Right.
Until he reveals it. And then it's all fucking big old floppy mutated bear dick.
To be honest, though, I would love to see this movie be remade.
You know, I was thinking the same thing when we were watching it, but I don't know that anybody would do it justice. I think this would be the winner.
You know who I think would do it justice is the South Park guys. I think if they remade this movie,
I don't know
maybe
about
they
that.
could use puppets.
I mean, they would never make a Man-Bear-Pig movie, first of all. And that's what they would have to do.
Yeah, and I don't like the title of this movie. Like, I think they could have named it something else.
Well, I think they were naming it Prophecy because of the Native Americans in it, and it was foretold, the prophecy foretold that nature would fight back against mankind kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it, but it just, I don't know. I think it could have pulled in more people because that was briefly mentioned, and
they were probably trying to make it seem a little bit more prestigious than it was, probably because they spent $12 million on it.
Probably. But I would give this movie a 6.5.
Okay.
I don't like ratings like that. You know what you need to do? You need to do like you need to make like a little chart.
Nah, it's for me. I mean, if people,
Okay.
a lot of people get really upset that I do like ratings, guys, but I really don't care. Like, it's not for me to make a statement. Like, I know what a film is like. Literally everybody's opinion on every fucking movie is so different. Like, you may have never seen E.T. You may never have seen Goonies, and then you might hate watching like another movie that came after it. But you watch it 30 years later, you're like, God, this is garbage. But if you grew up on those movies, it was like very important to you. Nostalgic. So everybody's a little bit different. So my scoring doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree with me. But if you know me and what I like, you can kind of give yourself an understanding of why I like it and maybe bounce off your particular taste off of it. You know what I mean? That's why I like to do it.
Right.
Because it's kind of like me just cataloging it in my own head.
Right.
Because this is the way it works. I'll tell you just so you know.
Okay.
All
School
right.
me, Alex. School me.
So basically, like, a 5 is the middle of the road. That is an average film that it could go either way. I may watch it one time again. I may not. Anything below 5 is typically something that I wouldn't want to watch again. Although there are movies that are like 4s and sometimes 3s that I just get a hankering for just out of the blue. Kind of like you just get a hankering for, I don't know, sardines one time. You don't eat them all the time, but you're just like, man, I just want to try some fucked up weird shit again. That's what it is. Anything below that, you can pretty much kind of assume 1 is one I will never touch again. I will never watch again. You know what I mean? And a 0, I don't even believe should be a score ever.
Yeah, that's dumb. Yeah.
But at like a 6, you start getting, hey, it's better than average. I enjoyed it more than I thought. 7, hey, this is pretty good. I don't know. I'm not over the moon about it. 8, hey, this is pretty damn good.
I would buy that.
Yeah. And then 9 is like, damn, that's pretty great. And then 10 is like perfection, which nothing is perfect. I barely ever give out 10s, but if I had to, it would be like Videodrome, Blob 1988, The Thing, like Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, things like that. But those are very few, very few. Hereditary was very close, but I'd still give that a 9.5, I think.
Thank you. That gives me a little bit more of
I mean,
because I get uncomfortable with ratings, stuff like this, because 10's like a large number, and I'm like a 1 or 10 person. Like, it's hard for me to do in between.
By all means, I think most movies should never be a 10 or 1 very often. Everything in between, like even bad films, people these days will say, oh, it's a bad film, so, it's an average film, so I didn't like it. And it's like, no, that's not really how, in my opinion, it should work. Once you've seen so many crap films, you go, okay, now I have a scale, but
a span.
But yeah, man, I actually kind of liked this movie. I was surprised by it, and I'd never seen it before. I heard about it. I remember seeing the cover when I was a kid on like the VHS shelf, or the beta shelf or whatever. Like, I remember seeing it and going, oh, that looks really cool. I don't know what that is, but
Still pretty good for being like 40 years old too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. So I enjoyed it. So we do have a little bit of trivia on it, some interesting stuff that I kind of already, broke out. But this movie is specifically based on, and this is per one of the writers, an environmental disaster in the Japanese city of Minamata, which came to light in 1958, where it was discovered that mercury waste was being dumped into a nearby river from a chemical plant that had caused severe mutations and neurological degenerations among the locals.
Oh.
Yeah, so the effects of this consisted of loss of muscular control, vision, hearing, and then followed, by eventually insanity and paralysis. So,
oh, that's not funny. I shouldn't laugh.
Woo! Not me. No, just kidding. That's fucked up. Anyway,
poor people.
They filmed this in Canada, of course. You can tell because the woods look amazing. Typically, the woods up in Canada are pretty big. In fact, this movie was one of the first movies that got everybody up there for what they call Hollywood North, because everybody started shooting in Canada after this, in Vancouver and like British Columbia and stuff.
And on that note, did you know that chief, the Indian chief, the old man?
Yes.
He was actually a part of the Native Canadian
tribe up there?
Yeah, up there. And they used him in the movie because he was a part of that whole...
Did you find out which tribe, or do you know?
He was a spokesman for the Native Canadian culture.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a tribes per se, just
per se, but I don't know how it works in Canada. So
now you remember me mentioning on the movie that it was supposed to be an R and everything like this,
right?
So
right.
this is the conflicting information that I was getting. Okay, so on IMDb it says Frankenheimer considered Prophecy a film with far more potential than what he actually delivered, ostensibly due to his alcoholism. But yeah, they had to cut it down from an R-rated film to a PG. Although that was on IMDb, and then on Wiki, it said some violence and gore and other scenes were deleted, not because of the censors, but on a decision made by John Frankenheimer. This included a longer close-up of a man's headless corpse and a shot of Katadine graphically disemboweling, which is the bear, by the way, graphically disemboweling Isley, which they thought was a little too gratuitous, you know?
I wonder if it's going to be on the Blu-ray.
I looked that up, but I didn't see. They didn't.
See?
They would have bragged about it if that were the case. So I don't think the footage is anywhere, and they didn't have any extra scenes. So
Dang it.
this is in '79, so perhaps they just threw it out,
Destroyed it.
Yeah, or it's sitting in some fucking warehouse, and 20 years from now we'll get a 12K release of it or something. But
12K.
But they have a flashback to the night where Rob and Maggie have sex, which they deleted for time. And they have extensions of several scenes, including a longer tour of the paper mill, Rob fishing, which showed him falling asleep and then later waking up in the sun. So they cut out a lot of different weird shit.
Oh.
So this movie must have been a lot longer.
Right.
So, but again, I mentioned Katadine is the name of the bear mutant, by the way. Also, ManBearPig, which we talked about earlier, it came out in the 6th episode of South Park, the 145th episode of the series overall. It first aired on Comedy Central, obviously, where Al Gore visits South Park to warn everyone about a creature called ManBearPig, which is an allegory for global warming, and then gets Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny trapped inside of a cave, the Cave of Winds. And the creature is actually an homage from this movie. So if you're looking for that episode, you can look at it, compare the two.
Or just Google the image of ManBearPig.
Well, I just wonder how many nods are in it. I almost feel like I
Right.
should have watched it
Right.
just to see how many nods they made to the film.
Maybe we need to rewatch it. I
Yeah.
think we need to rewatch it.
Yeah, maybe I can do it, cut it together so that it
Yes.
show all the scenes.
Yes.
Anyway, Tom McLaughlin, who apparently worked as a mime on this film. I don't remember a mime in this movie.
I don't remember a mime either.
Maybe it was in the town when they were in town or something.
And who played the mime? Todd.
He was, because they were in the city. So maybe he was in the city
Miming it up.
Yeah, but Tom McLaughlin, who he later went on to become a huge writer, producer, and director himself, he directed Jason Lives,
Oh, okay.
which is one of my favorites. So
You should watch that for Halloween.
I would love to.
Let's
I'm
do
all
it.
about it.
Maybe we'll watch-
Are you
yeah,
trying to
okay.
have sex right now? Because I'm ready.
What? Oh, no. We're being recorded. What the hell?
Tune in next week for when we climax. I'm just kidding.
This is why I don't like it when couples do podcasts, Alex.
I'm just saying, you're speaking my language, girl. And if Patrick were here, I would tell him the same fucking thing. So it doesn't matter who it is. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the funny scenes that we got to see in this. The initial first scene, do you remember the very beginning scene?
When they were in the city and he was in the hospital?
No. The very opening scene is where these guys are chasing something with one of the bloodhounds.
Oh, that's right, because I was like, why in the hell are they hunting in the middle of the night?
Right, dude, right off the bat, I was like, okay, it's kind of a long scene. It seems
really
a
was.
little longer than they really needed to, and it was a really tight shot, so you couldn't really tell what the fuck was happening.
Yeah, what they were doing.
Yeah, and so it's you got these bloodhounds on a leash, and then one of them jumps off a cliff.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about all this.
Remember? And then it
Yes, I
smacks the
remember.
rocks. It smacks the rocks, and they try dragging it up, and the fucking somehow it gets cut, and then it falls. But you think, oh, it's the bear, it's the mutated bear, of course.
Right.
Then all three of the guys go down after and die. Some of them falling, some of them getting attacked and ripped open.
Eaten.
Yeah, so it was. I thought it was pretty cool. It's pretty bloody.
Yeah. It made me worry about the animals in this movie, though.
Oh, it looks
There
so
was some
fake, though.
Ridiculous animal. That was not fake. Okay, there's a scene when they first get to the place.
Okay.
And there's a helicopter, and it has a fucking dog hanging from the helicopter. They're like transferring the dog. They didn't put it in the fucking helicopter. They literally had it in a sling hanging down from the helicopter.
Like they would do with a cow or something.
Yeah, or like when they rescue people in the stretchers and then they haul them up. But no, they were just helicoptered around with this dog flying from the bottom. Oh, and that dog was real in that scene. Pissed me off, and I totally forgot about it until you said that.
You got a free helicopter ride. Chill out.
You're horrible.
They treated it like royalty, Christina. I mean, like,
if it was treated like royalty, it would have been put in the fucking helicopter.
In the boot of the fucking...
God.
Anyway. A weird thing about this story, too, is like, you got this, like, doctor who's, like, a social worker or something. He helps out.
Yeah.
He helps out the communities in the inner city. He goes in, finds this kid who's like been bitten by rats, and that whole scene was like weird.
Right.
And he's just pissed off the whole time about how how the landlord has treated these people, and he's like, I'm gonna have some words with them afterwards. I'll be filing a report or something like that. But then some random guy comes in. He's like Graham Jarvis, who was in Misery and like Mr. Mom and shit. But he's like, hey, so you do such good work as a doctor. Have you ever tried being an EPA agent? Environmental protection? What? He's like, well, I'm not really experienced in it. He's like, oh, I could give you all the books that you need to read and everything. You're good at people, and that's what we need. So he's like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
I thought it was silly. So what did you think about the chainsaw axe battle for the tree and when they were fighting for the trees?
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was intense. It was like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah. So they're like standing there trying to protect the trees, making sure that the EPA and actually they're more worried about the loggers who are doing the logging company getting
jobs.
through because they don't like them because one, they're cutting down trees and they're doing all kinds of like damage to the environment, which the natives are like, fuck you. And they stand in the way. And then these guys are like automatically pulling out a fucking chainsaw on the motherfucker, like immediately, like, we're going to cut down this tree. And he tries to stand in front of it. And then he's like, I'll cut him, you know?
Yeah.
And then they battle. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Accident chainsaw.
And then the doctor who suddenly became EPA guy, like fucking is like, stop it. This isn't helping anything.
This is an outrage. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is an outrage.
Just let us through. And that was on their way. They just got there and they were on the way to the cabin. And the natives blockaded them in. So there was like a standoff. And I'm sorry, like I got that scene mistaken for the axe part in the next movie.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say because they're very similar. And
yeah. It was funny. There was two axe. But anyway,
there was a weird scene with a rabid raccoon.
That raccoon was real, and he threw it.
Dude, they were like fighting the fucking raccoon. Yeah.
Well, because it was mutated, it was probably had rabies.
Yeah.
You know,
well, yeah, they usually do.
But it's almost like they. Like, when they were doing the scene, they just, like, threw the live raccoon, like, at the guy.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
That's what it looked like, and he, like, hit the fucking raccoon.
You would think for a movie that is, like, trying to protect the animals and the environment...
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't have that much fucking, like, chanced weird shit like that in the movie.
Right.
Also, like, so this is all in the beginning of the movie, but they have... You know, to help the viewer kind of understand that there's some sort of sinister lurking creature in the woods, they have the sound of a creature, like...
Yeah,
and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that sounds like a bear fucking in the woods right now.
It totally did.
And I think it was. Like, I think that was the legit sound.
Oh, they took like a sound bite?
No, I don't know the facts. I'm just saying. It sounded like they were it was fucking something. A dead body, maybe a fucking deer. I don't know what they fuck out there. Another bear?
Well, you would think it would be another bear.
Well, and the other thing is like if that bear must have been a female bear because it had babies. Like,
oh, that's right.
Who did it fuck? You know,
right?
Like, anyway,
Wacky Wanda. No, wrong movie.
They have a cool scene with a giant tadpole that the natives call the Garden of Eden. It's like, no, dog, that's some fucking mercury.
And who puts a mercury on paper? Like, that was their whole thing, is they were washing the paper.
No. That's not how it works.
Oh,
they would put mercury. There was mercury that would help grow. Mercury in logging companies apparently can make the trees grow faster.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
Okay.
So that is why it's in there, but it also destroys the environment.
Oh, right.
So, and it poisons people and causes them to go crazy and eat people, I guess, or something.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But after that, they have one of our favorite scenes. There's like some white kids that are camping, and one of them zips himself up in this goose-feathered sleeping bag, and with just his face poking out the little hole.
It was like a mummy sleeping bag.
Sarcophagus.
Yeah. I have one of sleeping bag like that.
Right. It was like legit goose feathers, though.
Right. Yeah, it really was.
And the kids like suddenly there's like a mutated bear. This is when you first see it, by the way, I think. It just appears and they're like all freaking out, and the kids try to run, and the one that's in the fucking in the sleeping bag is like trying to hop around because it's all zipped up, and the bear just fucking swats him, and it gets literally thrown like at 50 miles an hour at a fucking rock. It like the kid flips, you hear it screech, and then it flips and hits the rock, and all you see is just feathers. No blood, nothing.
It's almost like they were having a pillow fight or something.
But it was funny, man.
It was really funny.
That was one of the best things in this movie, other than the creature.
Right.
Like, I loved it.
I agree.
I'm probably going to put that as a clip for people to like get into the movie, but what'd you think of the mutant baby bears? Those are fucked
I wanted
up.
one.
You wanted one?
I want one. They're very cute.
I wouldn't touch it.
I thought it was weird when so there was like a dam, right? That's how they found the bears. It's almost like the baby bears were like floating down the river, and they got caught in this dam. And when they grabbed them and they were like trying to save them, it was just weird to me. I don't know. It was, and then the ManBearPig.
But they'll fucking kick a raccoon across the room.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but I guess he wanted him as proof that this is why the loggers shouldn't put fucking mercury.
Well, yeah, because the native woman says, just leave it. And and he's like, leave it?
Just kill it.
This may be the only proof that you have to stop these people.
Right.
Are you out of your mind?
I thought it was weird.
Yeah. That was good like makeup design and stuff. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Looked good to me.
So anyway. I want a ManBearPig baby. You want to have ManBearPig baby, Alex? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, they did talk about like the one scene that was the like moment was that the woman's pregnant. So in the beginning of the movie, like the doctor's wife comes with him to the woods to do this EPA project, and later on, before they find out that there's mercury, she was eating fish with him. They went fishing, and he saw like this giant fish jump out of the water. They eat the fish, not the big one, but one of the fish. And then he's like, yeah, just a tiny small dab of mercury can cause someone that's pregnant to have a mutated baby. And like, it's like, oh, fuck. She's like, fuck, I haven't even told him I'm pregnant yet. She's like, I'm looking for the perfect time, when's the perfect time? Oh, when the ManBearPig is killing everyone. Right. Let's tell him now.
And she was just devastated that she ate the fish. I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take much. If it doesn't take much, like the way they described it, I was like, well, you're fucked.
Right. And they really didn't, I don't want to spoil anything, but in the end.
Well, of course you can spoil it. We're in the spoilers.
Oh, well, in the end, they really didn't explain like what happened, like with her pregnancy or baby or whatever. They didn't discuss like if she was gonna have the baby or like what was going on, which I was kind of disappointed in that, because I wanted to know. I wanted to see their mutated child. Really, that's what I wanted. Yeah,
there was that. Well, I mean, they had that big old fight and everything, and yeah, you'd want to know what happened to the kid. Yeah. So it is a little weird. There was a couple of scenes though, like they had that guy gets his head chewed off. Is it the native guy that's like?
Oh, was it the older guy?
I don't remember. Somebody got their head chewed off.
Like clean off.
Yeah, and then there was like John Hawkes, the leader of the tribe, is like shooting arrows in the chest, and then he gets swatted like in the chest, and he goes flipping into the air. This bear is strong.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, strong bear. For something to give you, for Mercury to give you like disintegrating
superpowers,
muscles. Yeah, you really are strong.
So kids, break open your thermometers and start
sucking out that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Pour it on your Wheaties.
I don't even know if they sell thermometers like that anymore.
Most everybody uses the electronic ones now, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, have you seen this movie? Because I'm curious to see how many people have seen it. It seems like it's a pretty popular movie, so a lot of people are excited about it coming out from Shout Factory.
I want to know what people thought of this movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have it now. I can't believe you liked it that much.
Yeah, we should own it, definitely.
So literally, I was sitting here going, God, I wish we could get that. And I was like,
oh, well, here I am making your dreams come true.
All right. So we do have another movie that we want to talk about that came shortly after this movie came out, and that is
Night of the Demon.
Demon?
The Demon.
From 1980.
Ish.
No, it is 80.
It
is on Wikipedia. It says November 80.
Right,
so.
right. And it is not to be confused with Night of the Demons.
Right.
From 1988. But anyway, okay. This movie is about Professor Nugent and his students embark on a journey to locate Bigfoot, believed to be responsible for countless deaths. It is directed by James Wasson. And this is the only movie he's ever done.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to him. I found
There's not an interview, a shred of evidence that he even existed.
Nothing.
Although I did find that there was a murderer, some guy that killed somebody named James Wasson.
Really?
It's not the same guy because he's way too young. But I was like doing some sleuthing, and I was like looking for people on Facebook, and I found one guy who had like some kind of dark humor, and I thought, oh, that could be him. Because anybody that makes a movie like this has to have some sort of like okayness with weird shit. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. This was written by Jim L. Ball and Mike Williams, who also, this is the only thing they've ever done. Right. Before I started to the cast,
but with their powers combined, they form Night of the Demon.
1980. Yeah. Before I started the cast, so when we first started watching this movie, and they were rolling all the people who were doing this movie, we did mention, we were like, are these fake names?
Yeah.
Because it was just weird.
Some of the names did seem really weird. Like they seemed like made up names.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon.
Right.
For companies to do that.
Like a lower budget.
To make it seem like it's a bigger movie than it really is, so that they would get a shot at it.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie stars Michael Cutt. I almost said cunt. Michael Cutt. He plays a professor. This was pretty much the only movie he's been in, and he's mostly done TV. Melanie Graham, who plays Wacky Wanda.
Wacky Wanda!
Again, she's only been in another show called On the Television. Lynn Eastman Rossi, who plays Susan, and she also played Sally in Phantasm.
Okay.
And she's been in TV shows like Rebel Highway and Partners in Crime. Paul Killerheel. He was in Meat Cleaver Massacre.
Oh, okay.
From 1977. And it's funny. So he's pretty much the only well-known-ish actor. And he did this movie and this Meat Cleaver Massacre movie in the 70s. But then he didn't start up his career again until 2007. And he's just been in a slew of TV shows.
Huh.
And yeah.
He just got a bug up his ass. He was like, I should finish this.
Yeah. And then he has an upcoming movie coming out called Articles of Fear, which I thought was pretty interesting. The budget for this movie I could not find, and I'm just assuming it's a low budget movie.
Yeah, this is kind of off the records, probably got more distribution than it probably deserved.
Right.
Straight to video kind of on the shelf movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. There's some information on it that I'll give you guys about this film. There's really not a whole lot, so pretty much it's just going to be us breaking down the movie. But
bare minimum. And what did you think?
Do you want me to go first?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just jump right into it.
Okay. Well, this ain't Joe Daddy's Bigfoot movie. Let me just say that.
No. This ain't no Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, no. If Harry and the Hendersons was a porno, maybe. This movie is literally, it's just fucking bananas, and that's not a fucking monkey joke, by the way. Like, it's essentially a professor and some college kids go looking for Bigfoot after one of their classmates tells the story of how her father died at the hands of the legend of Bigfoot. Seriously, the premise alone sounds pretty tame, right? It gets way weirder.
Way worse.
Like a hell of a lot more muddied and fucking confusing because there's so many characters in this movie. It's hard to follow along, so you don't know who's who, and they never really let you get interested into a character long enough for you to even know who the main characters are. And the time passes and weird. It's like they intercut everything, but anyway.
Exactly.
There's a lot of really cool, deaths that litter the screen, low budget looking deaths that Bigfoot kills people with, and some that are done by way of telling campfire tales, literally, and some by the way of actual campgoers themselves dying. But it goes a lot further, way further. and the story of a killer Bigfoot is obviously not a brand new concept. I mean, I don't know if this is the first one. I'm sure it's not, but it has been done many times since then.
Right.
There's plenty of bad dubbing sounds.
Oh my gosh.
And
horrible.
screeching music at times that permeate this movie's what the fuck appeal, I guess. It's definitely a pizza and beer so bad it's good kind of movie, in my opinion. One that you can feel fine laughing at and not laughing with.
Yeah.
No,
just kidding.
It's not there's enough in here to stretch out the story, but the slow parts are really slow, but the kills are really ridiculous and funny. And I'm totally on board with that. And it made us laugh, regardless of what you think. There is so many different fucking scenes in this movie that we had to write them all down. And there's more scenes in this than there was the other movie, and that's a better movie. But it's all kind of played super straight, so it's a lot of fun to laugh with, in my opinion. Laugh at, I guess I should say. This movie wanted to be very serious, but it's so ridiculous. It's like homemade movies, with gore, But in my opinion, I feel like they at least tried, right? This is all if you can hear the fucking movie to begin with. There's 2 versions out that you can watch. One on Prime Video. That is probably the better video quality image, but the sound in it sounds like they cut off the high end. So all you can hear is muddled voices. It's sometimes when they talk. And I was like, fuck. But there's another YouTube version which has better sound. But the video quality is terrible. Shit. I don't know. We ended up, going with the Amazon Prime one because it just looked better. So, but by the time the movie pretty much unveils its large floppy Bigfoot cock on the screen, you realize just how ridiculous this story gets, and it's hard not for me to say what happens that just makes this movie so different.
And ridiculous.
There's people who worship Bigfoots in the woods and have rituals to full on Bigfoot nookie, guys. That's all I'll say. It's a real mind shitter, But I gotta say, where it does go, it is much crazier than I thought it was gonna be. I thought I'll speak about it in the spoilers, but I thought it was going to go a different way just by the premise of the movie. Because they go, it's something more sinister in the woods, than Bigfoot.
And I thought it was just that one thing.
Well, I thought it was going to be like a killer in the woods instead of a Bigfoot. But no, it's really a Bigfoot. It just looks like a killer in the woods. But it's definitely an indie straight to video kind of film that, you might pick up when you're bored at the VHS store when you're a kid or something, if you were lucky to have those. So expect it to have that kind of quality. But I think it's still a funny watch, even if it took itself super serious. It kind of adds to it a little bit in a way. And some of the death scenes are pretty fucking ridiculous and funny. So I was just like we were making fun of it the whole time we were watching it. Remember?
Right.
We were just making jokes and shit the whole time, which makes it a fun experience for me. So
Right.
for the So Bad It's Good sort of film, like, which is a category of like, okay, this is already a shitty movie, but in the So Bad It's Good realm that I would say this is like 6.5. Whereas like,
Wow, it's high.
Troll is like an 8 or 9, you know what I mean? Something, Troll 2, I'm sorry, Troll 2 is. So, okay.
I don't think this is a So Bad It's Good movie at all. I just thought
It was bad.
this was bad. This is a bad movie. Yes, we made jokes and we had fun.
Dude, we had
we
a
always
blast.
have fun. It doesn't even matter what we're doing. We
Yeah, but
always
there's
have
some
fun.
movies that are so straight that we can't make fun of it, and we don't make fun of it.
Yeah,
But this
but-
one we did, and it was so much fun for me.
Yeah, but Prophecy, I had more fun than having
It's a more enjoyable film, yeah.
This wasn't even enjoyable to me. I mean, yeah, some of the one of the kills was hilarious, but the other, it was just okay to me.
All right.
I had big problems with, like you said, the characters. There was way too many characters. And
Yeah, it was confusing.
yeah, and the plot was just weird. I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't like how they were like a Scooby-Doo band of college kids.
Yeah, well-
like out to solve a mystery of the Bigfoot.
Yeah, why the Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot.
Yeah, why are there fucking kids? Why is a teacher taking kids out to solve a fucking
Yeah.
Bigfoot mystery?
And it isn't like they were just going out there for the day to figure. No, they were camped out. They're pushing their way into people's homes
And
like,
the town,
like just pushing their way through to just solve this mystery to get their job done, or paper or research or whatever the fuck they were
it's
doing.
not a
I
good
had no
movie.
idea.
It's not a good movie.
And to me, of course, the characters, the story was bad. The only thing that kind of brought it all together for me was that Wacky Wanda chick. Even the Bigfoot wasn't even. I didn't think it was that great. And he didn't look great.
He looked like Lou Ferrigno if Lou Ferrigno wasn't big.
right, or if like overly hairy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just looked like a guy that had some muscles that they threw hair on. And gave some weird teeth to or something.
Right. But I mean it's so funny because I thought the acting was okay, except for when
It was not okay.
The death scenes, though, when they were dying, it was like this over dramatic, and they're like having seizures and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are you having a seizure? You just got your belly ripped out of you.
Yeah.
Like you should be like screaming in
But
pain.
that's why I
shit.
say it's so bad it's good, because it's so ridiculous.
But for some reason, this it annoys me, and I just don't want to. I don't want to watch it again.
Okay, all right.
And I think a lot of it that does have to do with the quality of the film, and I couldn't. We couldn't hear it too well, and the dubbing was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was,
And the
pretty
music
bad.
was annoying.
I mean,
I liked that it went for like some weird, like crazy music too, but it
did.
At one point it was like they played a single note that was so ear rapey that it was like, I was like, oh God, like it just like suddenly it hit the note that makes you want to murder everyone.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
the brown note where it makes
was-
you shit yourself. This is the note that makes you want to kill everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could tell they probably had a good time making this movie.
Oh, I think it's
totally
a
do.
great movie for independent filmmaking. Like they did a good
And for
job.
that time,
It wasn't.
totally.
It felt like a first film because there's
Totally.
obviously gappy, like what the fuck's going on storytelling, and they
Right.
it's like they were like, oh, let's shoot this scene and just add it in this part. You know,
Right.
like it didn't make any sense.
Right. So I give it a 4 out of 10.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's probably what I would probably give it that as for an overall thing, but for the So Bad It's Good, it's 6.5.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but whereas I don't think it's a so bad it's good movie.
Okay. Well, I think it's guys, honestly, I really think that if you were to sit down with some people that could make fun of a movie, that like if you watched it as an MST3K experience for yourself or like a Riff Tracks experience for yourself, you would have a fucking blast. Like if you had some friends that are funny and watch this, you would have such a good time. Like it is so easy to make fun of because it doesn't really matter what is happening in the movie. Although if you do pay attention, you will be treated to some like interesting things that you're like, wow, they really went there, huh?
Fuck. I don't understand.
So there is some trivia on this. Not very much, by the way. Like, this movie is very, very obscure, and there is no interviews. I couldn't find although I didn't look for every, star in the movie. But I couldn't really find much.
Because there wasn't any.
This was one of the movies that was banned in the UK during the whole video nasty era. The whole, 80s craze about, what movies people could see. A lot of the times, those movies were based on just the cover alone. And, they were like, oh, this is graphic, you can't have this. But apparently, it was passed with, 1 minute and 41 seconds of cuts. So they cut out some stuff, yeah. And I wonder what those ones were.
Right.
And if I saw the whole version. But one of the original edits of the film included scenes of a helicopter rescue, too, of the remaining students after 2 were killed by the Bigfoot monster.
I wonder if they had a flying dog in that scene. God.
But they had the rescue scene. It was headed by the town sheriff, who was this guy named Paul Kelleher, and was followed by a scene between the sheriff and Wacky Wanda outside her cabin during where the sheriff assures crazy Wanda that Bigfoot is still alive and well. And those scenes were cut when the initial distributor determined that the film would be much more viable if all the students were killed by Bigfoot in a climatic bloodbath. Which I think they were right, honestly, because that's one of the best things about this movie is that end.
Right. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I totally must have zoned out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's a really quick scene, so.
Oh, well, that's probably why I didn't remember. I just remember the end. And it was like all this stuff was going on. And I remember we had to pause it a couple times, but I couldn't even keep up.
Right. Well, and if for those of you who do like this film and are looking for a way to pick it up, supposedly the best version that you can get is from Code Red. So if you're going to go on Google, type in Code Red DVD, and they'll have a version on there. It's $20, which is a little steep for my taste. Like if I got this for $5, maybe $10, I would be okay with getting it.
$1.
No, but 20 is definitely a bit pricey. But supposedly they got a version that was 1 inch big, so they blew it up to 480, and that's the best version you can get, supposedly. So
okay, well, no, thank you.
So let's break down some of the scenes here and kind of tell you how ridiculous this movie is. If you guys don't care about a shitty movie getting ruined, it's fine. We'll have fun with it anyway. So if you want to stick around, if not, it's up on Prime or YouTube if you want to watch it. So, but right out the bat, you have a guy in the woods who gets his arm ripped off by Bigfoot. And they don't show Bigfoot, but you see the stump. And there was this really cool, thoughtful scene where it shows the stump bleeding out onto the dirt, and the camera follows the blood into a Bigfoot footprint in the mud. And I just loved that. I don't know why, but I absolutely love that they did that because it's so creative for an indie film like that to think that and actually make it work.
It was creative.
I thought it was a really nice touch. You know what I mean? And that's when the, Night of the Demon, which makes no sense, by the way, it's called that.
Right. Just like Prophecy.
Yeah.
Sense. Title of the movie, no sense.
Do you remember the next scene that we saw that was kind of interesting? Next death scene. It was the one in the van that we were laughing at and making fun of. So there's a van that these couple are fucking in the woods.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. When old Footsie, he ain't too happy about it apparently, opens the back door and yanks the naked dude out and then fucking drags him under the roof somehow and kills him on the roof. And then you just see him sliding down on the front window of the van. And the girl is it's so badly dubbed. He's and she's
seizure. Sounded like a bird.
And yeah, and her mouth is nowhere near going to it. Terrible dubbing. They wanted this scene to be 5 minutes long for some godforsaken reason.
Porn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because there's nudity in it. A lot of boobs and
stuff. They were at it.
A lot of 80s boobies, too.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that she dies of fright. And apparently, this is the father. Or did she die of fright? Because it seemed like it.
You said she did. I don't know what the hell was going on. Her face was all being all wonky.
Well, she said that her father was killed. That's the girl's father who was in the classroom when they start talking about Bigfoot, and they were like, "Do you want to talk about your father who got killed by a fucking a Bigfoot?"
So her father was the one who got killed, who was having
I
sex
think
with
so,
that lady.
in the van. But it's so hard and so confusing.
It didn't make any sense. I was like, no way. They just cut it to a scene, because there was a lot of scenes where they just cut to people getting killed and you've never seen them in your life.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that was her father.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't express what time it was, what year it was, if it was 20 years in the past and now she's in college. It's impossible to tell. But this girl in the class, she's like one of the reasons why these college students go out to investigate Bigfoot. It's just stupid. Speaking of sleeping bag kills,
right,
we have another one in this
Another
one. And Christina really wanted to make a shot based off of a sleeping bag. I was like, how?
Sleeping bag kill. That would be the name of the shot. I told you. But no, just kidding.
I know. I thought Wacky Wanda was fun.
Yeah,
no,
it was fun.
We came up with that.
Right.
But there's a Bigfoot grabs a dude in a sleeping bag scene, and he's like swinging him around.
Like, whee!
Like over his head, and I kept thinking of like Jason, like
Right.
Jason X,
Right.
or Jason, when he's slamming him up against a tree and shit.
Right.
But he just throws him onto a fucking branch and it impales him, which I thought was kind of cool.
It was cool.
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good. I'll give it that.
Right, like
And
there's
that's
some
it.
stuff in it that's interesting. There's a lot of kills in this movie. Regardless if you like this movie or not, there's a lot of kills in it, period.
Yeah, there's a lot of kills that make no goddamn sense, but that's okay.
You mentioned this before, though, that the college kids and their professor are getting like extra credit because of a girl, that girl that I was talking about in their class.
Uh-huh.
The fact that they're all sleuthing around town, asking questions, part of their project. And these kids are like 40 years old, okay?
Right.
They look really old, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, they got guns on them and shit. They're like, who in the fuck takes a gun with them in college to fucking... But I guess it is the woods.
Yeah, it's a wood. I was just gonna say, I know a lot of people who will take their guns to the woods, because you don't know what the fuck if you could
might
run
have.
into a Bigfoot
Or Jason or something.
Yeah.
I guess if you are hunting Bigfoot, you should have a gun.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think it would be one of the kids. You know what I mean? Like, I would
Well,
think
they're college
the
kids.
chaperone would be...
I don't know. It's weird. See, again, another thing. It just doesn't make sense.
Then they had this weird random scene of a guy riding a motorcycle. He's like this greaser guy, and he's riding a motorcycle, and he stops to take a piss in the woods.
That was my favorite kill.
He pulls his dick out and he's pissing, and then you hear the noise of the Bigfoot, and it shows the guy's dick, and it grabs it and picks him up in the air like 5 feet.
By his dick.
By his dick, and rips it off. And then the guy walks over to his motorcycle and just pisses and bleeds on the side of his
You're
motorcycle.
gonna piss so bad, I
Like,
guess.
what?
Do you think you'd be able to piss if your dick wasn't there? Like, I don't understand that.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You may say it's boring, but people hearing this now that love gore and shit would be like, oh, I gotta see that.
Well, before they even got to that scene, one of my complaints that I wrote down was they drew out like these long extended like shots, and one of them was the guy riding the motorcycle, and it was literally like a 2-minute shot of him just riding the motorcycle down the mountain. It's like, what the fuck? Why?
Well, and then these kids, apparently, they're out looking for Bigfoot, but they stop at this guy's house who some guy had apparently had a Bigfoot sighting, and the professor was writing this guy back and forth like pen pals about Bigfoot. And he was like, the reason we're here is to talk to you about Bigfoot. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. And they're all camped outside his house, but they go wandering off in the woods at that night and find a fucking cult in the woods, like just regular people, by the way, guys, not wearing robes or anything. They're just surrounding this girl who is Wacky Wanda, you find out later on. And there's this weird, like, statue of a fucking Bigfoot, and they're trying to impregnate her, calling it the seed. We must give him the seed, and things like that. And what?
Did you notice when they were showing the cult people, one of them was the preacher from town, because they had gone to town earlier, and one of the chicks was talking to the actual priest of the church, and that guy was in the cult. They're like leading out. I thought that's
hilarious.
That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're trying to make this like thing where like everybody worships Bigfoot out there, and it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, what? Why? You could have cut back on the extended scenes of the guy driving the motorcycle and put more emphasis on explaining this cult that everyone is involved in.
Right, and it was just so weird. They fire a gunshot to scare him off, but I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. But then they after they were talking to everybody in the town and everything, they find out about Wacky Wanda, who is this woman who has to bear the seed in the ritual that we were just talking about. And they go to her house, which is somewhere in the middle of the woods where they accidentally stumble upon it and don't know how to get back to the road or something, right? Mm-hmm. So they go there and they knock on the door and invite themselves in. Literally just walk in,
They
dude.
just walked in.
They give her a piece of candy and she walks in and she's just like, yeah, come on in. Like, I'm like, it was a different time, Christina. It was a different time.
No. Well, she didn't talk either at first. She wouldn't talk to them.
She doesn't talk, yeah.
Yeah, they just walked right in, like, I'm making them so I'll clean up your place. I think he said something like that. I don't remember.
All these college kids do.
Yeah.
Fucking college kids.
Goddamn college kids. Don't even get me started because we live in ASU. So, like, don't even get me started.
Oh, God. One of the weirdest scenes. Well, there was the axe kill with the Bigfoot, which was kind of cool. Yes. Where he hits him. That's where he was having the seizure that you were talking about.
Right, the
Bigfoot,
death seizure.
Right, so Bigfoot uses weapons, by the way. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, he's, even apes use rudimentary weapons and sticks and shit like that, So he uses an axe and hits this guy on his shoulder. And this guy literally has a seizure, like, in the air. And he's just, like, falls on the ground and is doing it. It was really ridiculous. But after that, one of the things that really freaked me out, and this is the weirdest fucking kill in the entire fucking movie. There's two Girl Scouts who look like they're 28 years old, by the way.
Ridiculous.
They're wandering around, and they just so happen to have two butcher knives in their hands in the forest. It wasn't butcher knives. It was
they
like
were butcher
kitchen knives of some sort.
They weren't like hunter's knives or machetes
or
whatever.
They weren't like, was it like out in the, and why are they out there? And then all of a sudden they stumble upon old Footsie and he grabs both of their hands that are holding the knives. So he's got them right like on either side of him in front of him. And then he proceeds to be like cutting them. He's like, I'm stabbing you. Quit stabbing yourself. Quit stabbing yourself, girls. I'm Bigfoot. Stop stabbing yourself. And literally you see like cut their wrists like down the road, not across the highway or whatever the fuck they call it. Like the bad way.
Right.
And it's like they just keep getting stabbed. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's when you first get to see the Bigfoot's face.
Right.
Which is just a dude with hair on his face.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
I mean, it's a little bit better than just sticking hair on somebody's face, but...
he would have looked better as a ManBearPig.
Yeah, he's got like orangutan-looking colored hair.
Yeah.
Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just extremely bizarre, though. I don't even know what... It was one of the more unique kills I've ever seen in a movie, but like, it was...
It was like lazy.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's like, how am I going to kill these two chicks? Oh, let's put butcher knives in their hands.
And
that
why
makes sense.
Are there fucking Girl Scouts in the middle of the woods?
Well,
what are they selling, cookies?
Well, my thing, Girl Scouts camp, but they usually have a chaperone or something with them.
Yeah, a little bit of background would have been helpful, right?
Yeah. But it's okay. And I loved how they had they didn't have like a Girl Scout uniform on. They just had like shirts that said Girl Scouts on it.
Right. Well, they had the symbol, like the two faces.
But it wasn't the actual with the band.
Yeah, they weren't wearing the yeah. There is another really ridiculous part in this movie. I mean, the whole movie's ridiculous, but the whole like hypnosis thing, like when they put in hypnosis in movies, I'm always like, okay. Like, first of all, hypnosis is a real thing. You can hypnotize people, but the percentage of people who are actually susceptible to hypnotism are very few and far between. Like, there's very few.
Uh-huh.
So because they can't get Wacky Wanda to talk about what happened because they're trying to find out about Bigfoot. And there's a story that she lost her baby or something. And they haven't connected the dots yet. So they put her under hypnosis, and the teacher, the professor does fucking hypnosis because, you know, everyone knows how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he is a college professor, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he knows everything. He's just a fucking Renaissance man.
I'm surprised he didn't have a polygraph machine in his car.
But she tells you know, like they get her under hypnosis and she starts talking about about how her father was like a crazy man and he was pissed at her because, you know, for accepting flowers from a boy one time. It was like completely nothing wrong, but he like overreacted and then starts whipping her over and over again, saying, "I'm saving your soul, you ungrateful bitch." Which
is why that's the
shot. Yeah.
But that was hilarious.
Yeah, well, it was kind of ridiculous though. But that's when shit gets really weird. She's like, "Oh, I didn't do it. You think I did, Daddy?" But then they get into like an argument or something like that, and she runs outside in the middle of the night, and it's like a dark and stormy night, like there's lightning in the sky, and she gets raped by Bigfoot, which is where this movie jumped off the fucking rails, as if it was ever on to begin with.
It was weird because this whole time Bigfoot just killed people, and now all of a sudden he's raping girls with teenage angst.
Right, and then the weirdest part is her father runs out after her and just watches it all happen. He doesn't even try to stop her. He's like, "This is God's penance for your fucking sluttery," or whatever.
It's weird.
But he does shoot him. He does shoot Bigfoot.
Well, he shoots at him.
No, I think he shot him. You couldn't see because the quality of the video is bad.
Bad because it's a bad movie.
Right. Well, so then they kind of fast forward a little bit, and she's giving birth to a chimpanzee, basically, I think, because it's just this weird mass of flesh that looks like a baby doll that somebody put raspberry smuckers on. And then, like, it's making chimpanzee screeches, like, in the background.
Another movie with a fucked up baby.
Right. And then supposedly the father killed the baby. He holds it up like a fucking, you know, like some Lion King fucking scene.
Simba.
Right. So like she wakes up from this sort of thing thinking that she's reliving that moment. So she's like having a stressful moment, and they snap her out of it, and they realize they're not going to get any more information out of her. And they're like, "Do you think he killed the baby? Do you really think he killed the baby?" And earlier they had seen 3 graves, one for their father, one for like the mother, and one for the baby. And so, which was just a stick in the ground, by the way. And he's like, "Well, there's only one way to find out." And the next scene, they're digging up a fucking grave of the baby. And what's inside the box is literally a deer head skull. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's a Bigfoot skull." I'm like, "No, that's a deer head."
Yeah, it was like, what? Like, could you at least like glue some sticks together and make it look like,
or just paint something that looks like a human head?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird.
I'm like, that is a deer skull, so it is really weird. Which I just thought it was really weird that they were digging up the baby in the first place. Like, go ahead, you came in my house, you hypnotized me, you're like sitting in my house making yourself at home. Like, why not dig up my baby? Why not?
Right.
They get interrupted, of course, by Daddyfoot, and this is where the whole fucking crazy Bigfoot killing scene happens. This is the scene that they added to make the movie more interesting than 2 of the fucking people escaping in a helicopter that I was talking about. So the fucking Bigfoot, the original Bigfoot that had raped her and made her pregnant, is now back and pissed off that these people are in her house and dug up the baby. So he busts through the windows. He's killing people.
He has Bigfoot roid rage.
Yes, he's got some fucking Bigfoot roid rage going on. Harry Lou Ferrigno's only smaller is like freaking out. He kills some girl and then rips a dude in half and is like pulling out his organs and swinging them around the room, which I thought was really weird. Like, are you trying to flag down somebody to get help, or like why is he, just to make it seem like he's fucked up for swinging their organs around, I guess. I don't know, but he smashes a dude through a window and cuts his throat on the window. Mm-hmm. And that's like a really long, minute-long scene right there. And then turns around and pitchforks a girl to death.
Oh my gosh.
And then melts off the teacher's mouth on the stove, which is in the very beginning of the movie. There's a guy that we kept calling the ninja. Remember?
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
That's him. That's the teacher.
Right.
And
that's because, he had the ninja mask on.
He's
like,
the one
what
that
the
survived and tells the tale, and nobody believes him. They're like, yeah, he's criminally insane.
Yeah, we're going to put him in the insane asylum.
Yeah, like calling him criminally insane. Like, what the fuck? It's like, so Bigfoot's real, guys, and this movie proves it.
Yep.
So, good old Rapey Foot is out there fucking making babies and shit.
With Wacky Wanda.
Yeah. They've got a litter of fucking Bigfoots out there, big feet. Oh, that's Sasky 1, Sasky 2.
Sasky.
They're all fucking inbreeding out there, because fuck it. What do they eat?
Bigfoot?
Yeah.
People, duh.
You think?
No.
Maybe it's like
probably
berries and shit?
Yeah, like the woods. They eat the woods.
They eat the woods?
Yeah,
They eat trees
the
and
woods.
shit?
Yeah. You fucking rats and
Slugs and stuff.
groundhogs.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, definitely mushrooms. Probably fish.
Do you think that they did this movie like they could do a sequel, like not a sequel, but like a remake of
No.
this? You don't
No,
think?
I don't want to see this ever again in my life.
It's that bad. Okay.
Yes, it's that bad.
All right. Okay. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. So, have you seen these movies? Are you thinking of watching them? Did we make them sound appealing? I think that if you are into creature feature flicks, you can get into these. But I think if you can get into those indie shitty movies for the most part, you can get into Night of the Demon. If you don't, you might want to skip it. Prophecy's probably a little bit more straight-laced.
Yes,
Even though
better.
it's not. Yeah. I would definitely say Prophecy is the better movie, but I think that Night of the Demon is one of the better making fun of movies.
I disagree.
Okay. I know
I'm just kidding.
you're very clear on that. I appreciate
I do not
that.
like this movie. You
Okay.
can watch it alone the next time you want.
All right, calm down. Don't start carving Bigfoot into your
This is why I don't like
arms.
movies from the 80s.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming by this week. Christina, thanks for filling in again.
Thank you.
Just so you guys know, don't forget, guys, this is our last episode this week. Like I said, I will have a bonus episode for you guys, just a small interview that I thought I would throw up as an episode on the podcast and on the YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out and share it with people and check it out, it'll give you something to kind of listen to in our absence. So, but we should be back, I think, by the 14th of November.
That's soon.
Yeah, we should be back the second week in November. Although I've really needed a break, guys. So I don't know. We'll see. It should be 2 weeks after this episode that we will be back. But I may need a little extra time just to kind of get myself re-energized. You know what I mean?
Just be patient.
So I hope you guys understand, and I hope you'll come back because I really do appreciate you guys. You guys support this shit, and we spend so much time on the podcast, more than we do on YouTube even. So I really appreciate you guys so much. I ain't going anywhere. Christina's not going anywhere. I don't even know who's going to be filling in full-time, if it's Christina or what.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But you're gonna come back, and it's gonna be better. You're gonna be energized, and you guys need to come back to see all the new stuff that we have planned.
Right, and we also have our giveaway that we're still going to be doing at the middle of the month.
Yes, we will still do the giveaway no matter what.
Right, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I hope you guys stick around. I hope you have a good couple of weeks. We'll be posting some like old episodes. This will be a good chance for those of you who haven't listened to some of the older episodes to check them out and catch up if you've been wanting to, because I know it's hard to follow every week.
Yep.
And we don't expect you guys to listen to the whole episode every time. But for those of you that did, and those of you who do, just the secret code for this one is Harry Lou Ferrigno. So you can say that in the comments section to let us know what you think of these two movies and if you're going to watch them. So, but thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week. And as always,
Long live the void. Happy Halloween!
Tune in every Monday